A good Saturday. Well, here we are again. It's another daily double here for you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying those. If you're liking the grind, like when I'm doing the videos, definitely leave a like, drop a comment, share, as it just kind of lets me know that I'm doing a decent job, and I'll of course be continuing to looking to do better. But in the meantime, though, promised a video about the one of the first outlooks. I think we'll do another one next week as well, because this one was uploaded on the 15th by the Climate Prediction Center. But simply put, we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the latest updates with Ian. Well, so if you're looking to get updates on Ian from this channel, skip to the second half of the video to get an analysis from me on that. Otherwise, feel free to watch from the beginning. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and start by looking at the monthly temperature outlook. Now, given the fact that this is September 15th and we're almost 10 days past when this was issued and a few changes have been made, I'm pretty sure those haven't been taken into effect, so we'll revisit this again maybe in a week. We'll see. I haven't figured out how often they update this stuff, but my guess is going to be that this won't change too much. But anyway, enough rambling about my inexperience with the CPC. This is what we got going on right now. Towards the far northwestern corner, we have an equal chance of seeing at least average temperatures for the month of October. So basically, almost all of Washington and a small little sliver of Oregon, Idaho, and Montana have a chance of seeing around average temperatures for October. And then the rest of the country, everybody else has a chance of seeing slightly above average temperatures for the month of October. Now, what I want to say, and I've said this in the last climate video, that just because you have above average temperatures does not mean every day is going to be hot or every day is going to be extremely hot. Maybe towards this darker colored area where we're looking at maybe, I would say, 60 to 70% chance of an above average temperature, would you have most days being warm, pretty warm. But even so, it's a stretch to say that every day will be warm. There will be some cool days, but for the most part, everybody is sitting in the 50 to 60% range around the country. So this could be maybe about 5-10 degrees above average. This area right here, I would say you'd maybe be sitting at 15 degrees above average or greater. But keep in mind also, this is all based off of a mean. So again, every day is not going to be 10-15 degrees above average. You may have a bunch of days where honestly it might be 5 degrees above average for the entire month, and then maybe a couple of days where you're sitting at 10 or 15. Or this could be or there could be something that we don't see on this forecast that comes into play that blows all this out the water, because I've seen this happen plenty of times. So take this with a grain of salt. Also, since we have Alaska here, I'll go over that. Southern Alaska is actually going to be slightly below average, and northern Alaska is going to be above average. That could make for an interesting situation here, depending on how the ridges up to the far, far northern half of the globe are moving around, because those ridges and will often kick troughs a little bit further down to the south, and maybe this equal chance or even some below average temperatures could sneak their way in here by the next time they update this. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the precip outlook here. And for the most part, it's a little bit more balanced, I would say. Keep in mind though, this was also issued on the 15th, 10 days ago, and there are likely to be some changes. For example, I do think towards the start of October we might be a little wetter than average because of the fact that we have Tropical Storm Ian looming, and it's going to be hitting towards the end of the month. Depending on when it makes landfall, it may count towards some of the precipitation in October. In fact, I'm pretty confident in it, because we'll talk about the track in a minute, but basically we'll be looking towards the south and east for that. But as of right now, the south and east has equal chance of either above or below average precipitation rainfall, particularly for the month of October. Towards the central part of the country is where we're looking at below average precipitation, particularly rainfall. In the darker color brown here, we're looking at 50% or 60% chance of below average precipitation. Maybe a little drier, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because normally with our weather pattern, the jet stream is just a little bit too far north to really get a lot of rainfall around these regions. So that isn't too far out of question in my opinion. I think that's fair. And this light brown area where we're looking at maybe 40 to 50%, it's not too unreasonable for me either. Everywhere else, I'm saying that I'd say that's reasonable as well, and then maybe towards the coast of Washington here, slightly above average chance of rainfall. That sounds about right for this time of year. Maybe towards the far northwestern parts of Washington State, would I expect maybe a slightly higher rainfall, but we'll just have to wait and see what the jet stream does with that. So that's pretty much the monthly outlook for October that I have right now. On the other half of it, where we start looking into the first of the month, in a way, I kind of already did a video about that, on how the pattern is going to change, where the temperatures are going to be cooler, and maybe we'll be looking at more rainfall. I'll leave a link to that in the top right corner. But now that we've gone over this, I'm sure everyone else wants to know just what's going on with Ian and where it goes from here. So, I mentioned in the earlier video I was expecting Ian to strengthen. Hasn't really done too much of that. However, I want you to take a look at Radar Omega here with me. Okay, so here is Ian right here. I'm going to clear this out of the way really quick, just for a moment. And I'm going to set this also into motion here. The most recent scan just came into. Looking at the infrared here, because the water vapor isn't really giving me the best picture of it right now. Definitely infrared is, but look at the size of this thing. If we look back earlier, back here it was pretty small, but now we have a lot of activity starting to form up around the eastern side here, and the storm has increased in size. Doesn't this sound familiar? If it does, I mentioned this with Fiona. And what's significant about this is the fact that, if you remember correctly, Fiona was expected to kind of miss, actually, Puerto Rico. It was going to make a close pass, but it wasn't going to make landfall directly over it at first. But it took longer to strengthen and increased in size. The thing about storms increasing in size is, with it breathing out like that, it intensifies a little bit slower at first, but once it gets its act together, it intensifies very fast. So that's exactly what we're seeing with Ian right now. I'm getting the feeling that over the next 12 to 24 hours, we're going to start seeing these wind speeds jump up really fast. And we're going to start to see him make a big turn up to the north and east. But right now, it's hanging south of where that cone was earlier today. And as a result, the National Hurricane Center has adjusted to this accordingly. And as a result, this is what our cone of uncertainty is looking like now. So our center of circulation is a little bit further down. The eye hasn't fully started to form around this. It's not a closed off eye, and I think that's another reason why it's taking its time to strengthen. But with its increased size, it's going to take a little bit longer. But we do see this hanging out over water for a little longer and potentially maybe even missing almost all of Cuba. Because with it taking longer to strengthen, it's going to hang more towards that western side of this cone here. And with no land interaction, this storm has the potential of growing a lot stronger. In fact, Radar Omega here is showing a potential Category 4 hurricane as it gets into the Gulf. Shows a Category 2 hurricane at landfall. I find that interesting, and I'm trying to understand the reasoning as to why that is. There's a little bit of a question mark there in my opinion, I'm not going to lie, but we'll see what happens with it. I do think that this could go beyond Category 4 potentially as well. I don't want to say Cat 5 just yet, but I do think that Category 4 is very much a reasonable I'm trying to find the right words, but it's a very reasonable forecast there in my opinion. But given how warm the Gulf waters are and the light wind shear around the area, especially with the loop current, sky's the limit honestly as far as this thing's intensity. So now that we've gone over Radar Omega, let's go back and we will take a look at the spaghetti models. And now, interestingly enough, just as I mentioned that, this is really the first time I've gotten a good look at these. I do see a few of them pushing it towards Cat 5. Now, I still think that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I was thinking Category 4 was going to be a bit of a push, but lo and behold, we're increasing confidence because you can see this, like you see right in there, there's a pretty good cluster at about 60 hours out that pushes it to Category 4, then more of them push it by 84 hours out to Category 4. I see about 2 or 3 that push it to Category 5 or just at the cusp of it. So we're looking at about maybe 120 hours out. It does kind of go on a little bit of a downtrend, but a few of these still have it at Category 3. I still wouldn't be surprised to see a major hurricane landfall. In fact, I think it's more than likely what's going to happen. We're hoping it doesn't, but I'm not too sure. I mean, at this point with the track that it's on right now, the only place it's going to go is in the Gulf. This is, unfortunately, from the looks of it, it's not going to be getting kicked out to sea. Somebody is going to catch a piece of this hurricane, a very big piece of it, and this very well could do some serious damage. So, good news is, I hear a lot of people in Florida are preparing now. They're not playing around, but just in case you are around Florida, still, like, don't get complacent. You see people around you getting ready, don't sit around and wait. Get supplies while they last and get them quick. Because 120 hours out, yeah, it's 5 days, but 5 days will go by quickly, and then before you know it, the tropical storm force winds will be there, and then things can and most likely will deteriorate pretty rapidly. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at the track here. This is the most recent track update that I've gotten here from, this image here is from West Michigan University, if I'm correct. Or yes, it is the University of West Michigan. And if you notice here, there are none of these spaghetti models that kick this out to sea. If anything, I was kind of calling my shot earlier saying that maybe towards the panhandle of Florida might be of interest, maybe a point of interest as far as landfall is concerned. My confidence in that has definitely increased, and all of these models kind of show that towards the 120th to 144th hour from now. So the next 5 to 6 days is when we will see, we're likely to see the eye make landfall. We'll have to see how things play out from here, but I'm also seeing an alarming increase in confidence as to where the storm goes after the fact. We'll go a little bit more over what could happen beyond landfall tomorrow, especially now that we'll be able to close in within that 120-hour mark for some of these more inland areas. But either way, it's looking like it makes landfall around maybe the panhandle of Florida now, and then worked its way inland towards Georgia, maybe Alabama, but Georgia is definitely looking like a hot spot now, and maybe towards the Appalachians. Big question is going to be from this point, once it makes landfall, is will it get caught by that trough that I've been talking about in the last couple of videos, or will it get left behind? And the implications that come with that could be very big in regards to rainfall totals. But like I said, we'll get into that video into the morning, but this is all I got for you guys tonight. Again, if you like what I've been doing on the channel and liking the increased activity here, leave me a like, drop a comment, share the channel, sub to it especially. In fact, over 70% of you guys that watch aren't even subscribed, so don't be shy. That's all I'm gonna say there. I'm gonna be here for as long as I need to be, if not longer than that, because that's just what I do. But this is the end of the video for you. This has been Tired Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys in the morning.